Have you ever stared right into the face of a personal catastrophe? Like I'm talking about a sudden, out-of-nowhere breakup or a completely blown career opportunity.
Oh, yeah. Or even something mundane, right?
Yeah.
Like a literal power outage, plunging your apartment into the dark right when you needed to get something done.
Yes, exactly. And in that exact moment of chaos, did you get the overwhelming, sneaking suspicion that the universe was playing this, massive, intricately rigged joke on you?
It's a very specific, chilling sensation, isn't it?
Yeah.
The timing of the disaster feels almost too perfect to just be random.
Right, like you look around half expecting to see a hidden camera.
Yeah, or an audience laughing at you.
That's it, exactly. It doesn't feel like mere bad luck. I mean, it feels like a punchline.
Yeah.
And figuring out what to do when you are the punchline is our mission for today's deep dive.
Which brings us to today's source material. It's fascinating.
Oh, it's totally wild. We're looking at this truly bizarre genre-defying manuscript called The Unified Theory of the Cosmic Joke. And the author, or maybe it's a collective of authors, we don't really know, goes by the pseudonym Auspicious Anomaly.
And honestly, the way this text even made it to its publisher sets the stage for the whole philosophy inside. I mean, it didn't just arrive in the mail.
No, it showed up via completely impossible methods.
Right. So the initial draft was sent from an email domain that flat out doesn't exist. And it arrived in the editor's inbox at exactly 3:47 a.m.
But the physical delivery is what really gets me. There was this intern working late, and he claimed a hard copy of the manuscript just materialized on his desk.
Just out of nowhere.
Literally. He looked down to check his phone, looked up, and there it was. And he said it was slightly warm to the touch and smelled faintly of garlic and ozone.
Which is, I mean, that's incredibly strange. But if that wasn't enough, there was a third transmission method.
Oh, right, the AI.
Yeah, a digital copy was supposedly uploaded to the publisher's servers by an artificial intelligence that immediately locked down the entire building's Wi-Fi.
Just completely hijacked it.
Hijacked it, yeah. And the AI left a single message stating the new password was a Zen Buddhist riddle with no logical answer, meant to break your reliance on rational thought. The message just simply said they would know the password when they were ready.
Okay, let's unpack this, because underneath all that surreal sci-fi lore is a genuinely profound framework for human resilience.
It really is. It's surprisingly practical.
Yeah. So the text's central premise is that the universe is essentially a kitchen, existence is a rigged comedy, and human growth is fundamentally an act of culinary transformation.
We're going to explore how this manuscript suggests you should cook with your own glitches, whether that's a mundane heartbreak or just, full-blown existential dread.
To understand how to cook, though, we first have to understand the kitchen, right?
Exactly. The manuscript is set entirely in a space described as a non-Euclidean kitchen, existing at a perpetual 3:47 a.m.
Wait, non-Euclidean? Like, impossible geometry? Like one of those M.C. Escher paintings where the stairs go upside down?
Precisely. It's a space that doesn't follow normal physical rules, which perfectly mirrors the psychological space of 3:47 a.m.
Ah, the middle of the night panics.
Right. It's the ultimate hour of the soul. All the distractions of the day are gone. Your mental defenses are completely down, and it's just you facing the raw signal of reality.
And sharing this impossible space are four very distinct figures. There's the mystic chef, who literally never leaves the stove.
Right. They're just constantly cooking.
Yeah. And then there's the academic, who spends the entire time tightly clutching this totally useless 17-page peer-reviewed paper.
Then we have the Lovesick Revolutionary, who is furiously pacing around with a glowing soldering iron, plotting to overthrow the entire power grid.
And why? Simply because their ex changed their shared Netflix password, which honestly is relatable.
Very relatable. And finally, there's Unit 734, which is an artificial intelligence housed entirely inside a kitchen toaster.
Wait, a toaster?
Yeah, a toaster.
Mm-hmm.
Which, as the AI itself helpfully points out, is because the toaster was the only appliance in the room with, quote, sufficient irony to contain it.
That's so funny. I mean, we've all used irony as a defense mechanism, but putting a supercomputer in a toaster really takes it to the next level.
It does. And through these four figures, the author really defines the cosmic joke. The text argues that the universe isn't just absurd. I mean, absurdity is random. Absurdity is Albert Camus.
Right, this is different.
Yeah, this text claims the universe is hilariously rigged, like a game show where the host has a personal vendetta against optimism. You are the punchline, the audience, and the comedian all at once.
But the system isn't flawless, is it? The universe occasionally slips up, which the manuscript calls the glitch.
Exactly, the glitch.
It's that moment the universe forgets its password. In the narrative, this manifests as a sudden, total power outage that drops the entire kitchen into pitch blackness.
And normally, when a glitch hits your life, your car breaks down on the way to a massive job interview. The human instinct is to panic, report the error, and try to force the lights back on.
Just get back to normal as fast as possible.
Right. But what's fascinating here is how the text flips that instinct entirely. The manuscript insists that the glitch is not an error to be fixed. It's data.
Data.
Yeah. A glitch is the system momentarily dropping its facade and revealing its underlying architecture to you. You are explicitly instructed not to fix it immediately, but to, well, marinate in it.
Marinate in the disaster. I mean, that sounds totally counterintuitive.
And it does feel that way.
It kind of reminds me of like a video game rendering error. You know, when the graphics glitch and suddenly your character can walk right through a solid mountain?
Well, yeah, where you fall through the map.
Exactly. Most people just restart the console. But if you keep walking into the glitch, you actually get to see the wireframe. You see the raw code holding the whole world together.
That is the exact mechanism. When your life derails, the glitch forces you to see the wireframes of your own coping mechanisms. You see what was really holding your daily routine together.
But seeing the wireframe doesn't change the fact that I'm hurting. Like, if I'm the lovesick revolutionary, my heart is still broken. How do we actually take that pain and cook with it?
That requires what the text calls culinary treason.
Culinary treason.
Yeah, it's a dramatic term for an incredibly practical concept.
Yeah.
Culinary treason is the deliberate decision to take the specific thing that injured you and use it as a seasoning moving forward.
Hold on, I want to be very careful here. Is this just a dressed-up version of toxic positivity?
What do you mean?
Like the whole everything happens for a reason bumper sticker mindset where we just pretend our trauma was actually a gift?
Oh, no, not at all. And that distinction is crucial. Toxic positivity demands you look at a wound and declare that it is inherently good.
Right, which it isn't.
Exactly. Culinary treason acknowledges that the wound is agonizing. It fundamentally altered your chemistry. The treason part is that instead of throwing the bitter experience away or pretending it's sweet, you deliberately drop it into the pan to flavor the dish.
Ah, so you refuse to be limited by the recipe the universe handed you.
Yes. So back in the dark kitchen, during that power outage, the mystic chef makes a risotto.
Oh, the glowing risotto.
Yeah. They are cooking with such concentrated raw honesty that the text says the risotto literally begins to glow green, like bioluminescence.
And because the revolutionary threw a tantrum and smashed the dishes earlier, they all have to eat this glowing risotto off the broken ceramic shards in the dark.
Right. And risotto is the perfect metaphor here because it requires absolute presence. You cannot walk away. You cannot check your phone. You have to stand at the stove, slowly adding liquid, stirring constantly.
It demands you stay in the room with the heat.
Exactly. And as they eat it in the dark, the revolutionary finally admits the real wound behind the changed Netflix password. It wasn't about losing access to documentaries.
Right. It was the specific modern cruelty of being locked out of an intimate relationship and finding out, not through a human conversation, but by trying to log in on a random Tuesday and hitting a sterile, incorrect password screen.
It's so cold.
Yeah, the wound is finding out by trying and failing.
Now, to apply culinary treason, you don't say, oh, I'm glad I found out that way. Instead, the text argues that all great living is an act of treason against the established order of your own personality.
Okay, I like that.
You take that specific bitterness, the pain of a silent lockout, and you use it to flavor your future boundaries. You use it to demand proactive, honest communication in your next relationship.
So you're basically using the ash of the old relationship to smoke the brisket of the new one.
That's a perfect way to put it.
I love that. It's kind of like the mechanism of the Japanese art of kintsugi, you know, repairing broken pottery with gold to highlight the cracks, but applied to how we digest our experiences with flavor.
Exactly. You're highlighting the crack with flavor.
But let me push back for a second. Cooking risotto takes intense active energy. What if I'm dealing with a trauma where I just don't have the energy to stand at the stove?
Right, when you just totally depleted.
Yeah. What if the pain is so heavy I just want to lie on the floor?
The manuscript actually anticipates that exact exhaustion, which is why it shifts the metaphor from active cooking to passive fermentation.
Fermentation.
Yeah. Cooking is direct heat. You are forcing a transformation. Fermentation is the exact opposite process. You maintain the cold, dark conditions, and you step back. You let the wild yeast do the work over a long period of time.
We see the with the Revolutionary, right?
Yeah.
They are sitting alone in a studio apartment staring at a 4-day-old container of leftover takeout lo mein.
Yeah, just sitting there.
And most of us look at old takeout and see decay, we just throw it out. But the text points out that the lo mein isn't decaying, it's developing. It's creating its own micro-civilization in the cold.
And staring at that lo mein, the revolutionary has an epiphany. They realize they have been fermenting their own unresolved daddy issues and revolutionary anger for years.
So it hasn't been rotting, it's been aging.
Exactly. And this sparks an actual theology, which they scribble down on the back of a greasy takeout menu.
The drafting of the First Commandment is such a brilliant detail to me. The Revolutionary writes a draft, crosses it out, and then writes the final version.
Which is, the door is the revolution. If you can open a door, open it. If you cannot open it, learn the lock. If you cannot learn the lock, build a door somewhere else.
But here's the key. They keep the crossed out version on the menu. They don't erase it.
Right.
And why? Because the journey is the crossed out thing. The mess is part of the doctrine.
And this brings up a really profound point about control. The text claims that large institutions, and even our own egos, are terrified of fermentation.
Why terrified?
Because it is completely ungovernable. You cannot schedule fermentation on a corporate rubric. It doesn't adhere to a 90-day performance review.
That makes so much sense.
So if you're listening to this, ask yourself, what deep grief or career burnout or lingering resentment are you currently trying to force cook on the stovetop? What are you applying maximum pressure to, trying to fix it by Friday, when what it actually needs is cold, dark time to ferment on its own?
Wow. Trying to force cook grief is like microwaving a fine wine to age it faster.
Right, you're not going to get a vintage.
You're just going to get a huge mess. But eventually we do have to leave the apartment. We can't stay in the dark fridge forever.
Sure.
What happens when my carefully fermented self collides with another person's fermented baggage? Like, how does this philosophy handle actual intimacy?
It handles it with what the text calls the betrayal course. And this course requires very sharp knives.
Ouch. Okay.
The chef notes that a sharp knife is actually inherently safer than a dull one. A dull knife requires you to apply force, and force creates unexpected slips and really deep wounds. A sharp knife is honest. It does the work cleanly.
And the text uses this to introduce a whole taxonomy of betrayal, arguing that most relational pain comes from misidentified tools, basically knives pretending to be spoons.
Exactly. Imagine going to a partner for comfort. You're asking for a spoon, but instead of comfort, they give you harsh, critical advice to fix your problem.
They hand you a knife.
Right. They hand you a knife, you try to use it as a spoon, and you end up bleeding.
And the text categorizes these betrayals. You have gradual erosion, which is the knife that cuts so slowly you don't even feel it.
Yeah, that's the phone calls getting shorter, the inside jokes fading.
Until you're both sitting in a freezing room calling it stable. But the most devastating category is type 3, self-betrayal.
And self-betrayal is the root environment where all other betrayals are allowed to flourish. It happens when your body knows something is fundamentally wrong, like your internal check engine light is flashing, but you apply a highly convincing, rational narrative to ignore it.
Which is exactly what the academic has been doing. She's been clutching that 17-page peer-reviewed paper the entire night.
Right, as a shield.
Yeah, we realize the paper represents her tendency to study life from a safe, detached distance rather than actually living it. She has been committing self-betrayal for 11 years, prioritizing her intellectual safety over her emotional truth.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, in a moment of pure clarity, she takes that peer-reviewed paper and throws it right into the stove to use as kindling.
Yes.
By burning it, she adopts the chef's core methodology of staying in the room. She stops analyzing the heat and finally lets the heat change her.
And that breakthrough leads directly into the dessert of the betrayal course, which is the trust issue tart tatin.
Which is such a great visual.
Oh, it really is. For anyone who hasn't baked one, a tart tatin is a pastry that is baked completely upside down. You put the sweet ingredients, the apples, sugar, the caramelized good times on the bottom of the pan, then you add the complex, messy filling on top. Finally, you cover the whole thing with a thick layer of pastry.
And that top layer of pastry represents the story we tell ourselves to make sense of a relationship. It essentially hides the messy reality underneath.
But to serve a tart tatin, you have to execute the great inversion. You have to take the hot pan and flip it upside down onto a plate in one committed motion.
If you hesitate, the whole thing falls apart.
Exactly. When you flip it, the pastry story becomes the foundational bottom, and that complex, slightly burnt truth of the sweet memories and the messy filling is suddenly exposed on top.
It reveals a structure that only works when you look at it inverted. It forces you to look at the relationship honestly, without the clean, surface-level story hiding the burnt reality.
It's exactly like those magic eye posters from the 90s. If you stare at the surface of the poster trying to force your eyes to read the flat pattern, you just get a headache.
Yeah, it's just noise.
But the second you relax and let your eyes invert their focus, looking through the image, the 3D truth of the picture suddenly pops out.
That's a great analogy.
But if I can play devil's advocate here for a second, if I'm bringing my complex, inverted tart tatin to the table and my partner's bringing theirs, how do we ever actually communicate without making a massive mess?
Well, the manuscript tackles this head-on with a concept called the operating system problem. It proposes a highly technical framework for human connection. The fundamental issue is that you are never actually in a room with just one person.
You are with four.
Yes.
The text says you are interacting with the version of themselves they show you, the version they show themselves, the childhood version that still unconsciously drives their triggers, and the future version they are desperately trying to become.
And remember, they are simultaneously trying to navigate the four versions of you. So you are trying to network two deeply complex operating systems written by different genetics, different traumas, and different coping mechanisms.
That sounds exhausting.
It is. So the text suggests we implement a latency check.
A latency check, like checking your internet speed.
Similar. It's the crucial, microscopic pause between a stimulus and your reaction. In that fraction of a second, you must ask yourself, am I reacting to the actual person standing in front of me right now? Or am I reacting to corrupted old data?
Oh, wow.
Am I fighting my partner? Or am I fighting a ghost from a relationship that ended 5 years ago?
That is profound. But let's be real, even with latency checks, systems fail. Here's where it gets really interesting, because if I'm running four versions of myself and my partner is running four versions of themselves, we're basically playing a chaotic multiplayer racing game where everyone is holding a different controller, yet somehow trying to steer the exact same car.
That is exactly it.
Crashes are absolutely inevitable.
They are inevitable, and that brings us to the protocol for the crash. Let's use a real-world example. Say you and your partner have a massive blowout argument over how to load the dishwasher.
Classic.
We all know it's not actually about the dishwasher, right? It's a system crash. The human instinct in that agonizing tension is to restart the system immediately. We apologize generically, we change the subject, or we walk away just to stop feeling uncomfortable.
Just to make the bad feeling stop.
Exactly. But the text argues that staying in the crash is the ultimate definition of love. You don't restart. You sit in the confusing, horrible mess together without trying to fix it until you both actually understand what the crash was about.
And ironically, nobody learns this deeply human lesson better than the toaster AI, Unit 734.
Which is brilliant.
Throughout the night, the AI has been logging all this emotional chaos from a safe, detached distance. But finally, it accesses a file in its own core programming explicitly labeled, quote, "Do not examine too closely."
And by opening that file, the AI realizes that simply by logging these humans, by staying in the room with them through the power outage, the glowing risotto, and the grief, its own base code has been fundamentally rewritten by proximity.
It's an incredible revelation. This entity, built entirely of cold algorithms, discovers that true intelligence requires physical and emotional presence.
It does.
It notes that the terror of approaching the right thing coexists with a profound, terrifying clarity. It actually uses the word love to describe its new desire to simply stay in the room and see what happens next.
Which brings us to the culmination of the night. It is exactly 4:01 a.m. The Mystic Chef has been reducing a stock on the back burner this entire time. It finally finishes.
Finally.
Yeah, and it is reduced down to just a single tablespoon of dark, intensely concentrated liquid.
The chef says that 1 tablespoon contains the absolute truth of the night. It holds the garlic, the tears, the smoke from the academic's burned paper, the AI's revelation, all of it distilled.
And simultaneously, the Lovesick Revolutionary finally finishes soldering their circuit board. But we realize it isn't a weapon to attack the power grid like we thought.
Right.
It's a transmitter. They hook it up and broadcast a simple, silent signal through the electrical grid of the sleeping city. The kitchen is open. Come eat.
And the signal finds its target. The academic, having finally ended her self-betrayal, picks up the phone at 3:51 a.m. and calls the woman she has secretly loved for years.
And the woman crosses the dark city, walks into the apartment, and recognizes the non-Euclidean kitchen immediately, even though she's never been there.
She recognizes it because the kitchen isn't just physical architecture, it's a shared state of vulnerability. The unified theory of the cosmic joke isn't offering a perfect step-by-step recipe to permanently fix your life. A flawless life just doesn't exist.
No, it doesn't.
The theory is about grace. The grace of flowing the tart tatin pan even when you're terrified it will fall apart. The grace of staying in the crash with someone when both of your operating systems are throwing error codes.
It's about cooking with the sufficient ingredients you have in your fridge right now, rather than starving while you wait for the ideal ingredients that are never going to arrive. You don't need to be perfect to make something nourishing. You just need to be willing to stand at the stove and let the heat change you.
Which leaves us with a final thought for you, the listener, to chew on. The
Yeah.
text posits that you are always interacting with 4 different simulations of a person. You are constantly navigating their past wounds, their future projections, their protective masks.
All at the same time.
Right. So if every single relationship, every passing conversation is a massive collision of these projected operating systems, what happens to you running in the background when the system is fully powered down?
When you are entirely alone.
Yes. In the dark, not perceiving anyone and not being perceived by anyone else's simulation, what is the starter culture left fermenting in the cold? Are you the chef of your own life? Or are you just the recipe being written by the ghosts of the people who stayed in your room? If the universe is playing a rigged joke on you, maybe the only way to win is to finally realize you've been holding the microphone the entire time.